Many descendants of India's first civilizers, particularly those of Dravidian heritage, currently face marginalization and are relegated to lower societal roles within the Hindu system, both socially and economically. Their crucial role in founding the Indus Valley Civilization is often overlooked or outright denied by some Hindu extremists and revisionists who dispute the historical impact of the Aryan invasion on India's social, political, and religious structures. This denial extends to claims that contemporary India shares an unbroken continuity with its ancient past, negating the Dravidian people's significant cultural and societal contributions. Such narratives are part of a broader pattern of overlooking or diminishing the achievements of Black civilizations globally, with certain segments of the scientific and academic communities also participating in these misrepresentations. Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Our objective is not to foster racial divisions, but to shed light on the pre-existing racial hierarchies that have been constructed globally, based largely on the amount of melanin produced by the skin. This endeavor seeks to bring awareness and understanding to the deep-rooted biases and structures that have historically categorized and impacted individuals based on skin color, aiming to foster a more informed and equitable society. The Indus Valley Civilization predates the later Hindu civilization by thousands of years, spanning an area of over 1 million square kilometers and encompassing more than 1,500 archaeological sites, including significant ones like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. It laid the foundational stones of urban planning and societal organization in what is now modern-day India and Pakistan. It is widely acknowledged that the region's earliest inhabitants can be traced back to Africa, similar to the ancient populations across Asia. These dark-skinned people represent some of the oldest known settlers of the Indian subcontinent. Following them, the Dravidians, characterized by their straight hair and darker skin, settled predominantly in southern India, whereas the northern parts gradually became home to lighter-skinned populations. The term Dravidian itself originates from the Sanskrit words Dravida or Damila, historically used by northern Indian peoples to describe the darker-skinned inhabitants of the south. This broad term encompasses various ethnic groups, including the Tamils, Telugus, Malayalis, and Kannadigas, among others, highlighting the diverse yet interconnected nature of India's ancient heritage. In the intricate Hindu society, individuals are woven into a complex caste system, a legacy of ancient beliefs tying one's current station in life to the karma of past lives. At the summit of this hierarchy reside the Brahmins, esteemed as priests and scholars, followed by the Kshatriyas, the valiant rulers and warriors. The Vaishyas, merchants and traders, form the backbone of commerce, while the Sudras, the laborers, anchor the base of this social edifice. Yet beyond this structured order exist the untouchables, deemed impure, relegated to a status so low they fall outside the traditional caste classifications. Millions are born into a life predetermined by the ancient codes of social hierarchy. These individuals, known as untouchables, are woven into the fabric of society, yet remain on its very margins, denied the basic dignities and rights most take for granted. Despite the Indian government's valiant efforts to erase centuries of prejudice, the shadow of discrimination looms large to this day. Venture into the coastal stretches of Karnataka in the south of India, and you will find the Kauravas, the original custodians of this land. They are one of the numerous communities branded as untouchable, relegated to roles steeped in tradition, yet marked by segregation, beating ceremonial drums, racing and guarding the water buffalo of the upper castes. Their homes nestle on the edges of the forest, in enclaves separate from the rest of society, where they are brought up to see themselves through a lens of inherited inferiority. This is not merely a relic of the past, but a present-day saga of resilience against a backdrop of enduring injustice. With 170 million untouchables in India, their story is a poignant reminder of the struggles that persist in the shadows of one of the world's oldest civilizations. One moment stands as a beacon of peaceful resistance, the hunger strike led by Mohandas Gandhi in 1932. This act of defiance against the entrenched caste system captured the world's attention and marked a pivotal point in the fight for the rights of the untouchables. Decades later, in 1955, the Indian Parliament took a landmark step by passing legislation that formally outlawed untouchability. This historic act was a testament to the enduring impact of Gandhi's sacrifice and a promise of a new era of equality and justice. Yet, the journey towards true equality is fraught with challenges. Despite the legal strides, the implementation of these laws has been uneven. Today, national and state governments have established minimum quotas of jobs reserved for untouchables, aiming to lift this marginalized community into the mainstream of society. However, the reality on the ground is complex, and these quotas are not always enforced as intended. India is home to nearly 250 million people of African descent, making it the country with the largest black population globally, surpassing Nigeria. However, this aspect of its demography is rarely highlighted. The ancestors of these individuals played a crucial role in establishing the Indus Valley Civilization, a connection reinforced by a recent genetic study that traces the roots of the Dravidian people to the architects of the Indus civilization, while discounting any genetic ties to the Aryans. The 10th century Arab historian Mas'udi describes the migration of Ham's descendants, Ham being one of Noah's sons, traditionally associated with African lineage, towards southern lands, specifically India and Sind. This narrative suggests that the people of India and Sind trace their ancestry back to Africa. Similarly, the ancient Greek historian Diodorus Siculus recounts the travels of Osiris, an emblematic figure from African, specifically Egyptian mythology, through Arabia to India, where he is credited with founding cities and introducing aspects of his culture. The Greeks, referring to Africans as Ethiopians, literally meaning burnt faces, recognized the African origins of the people in India, viewing them through the lens of their interactions with African civilizations. Diodorus Siculus's account highlights the belief that ancient India was significantly influenced by African culture, with Osiris symbolizing the transmission of African civilization to the Indian subcontinent. This narrative underscores the deep historical connections between Africa and India, illustrating a shared legacy of cultural and civilizational exchange. The Dravidian civilization, flourishing around 2600 BCE, marked a significant era in ancient history, existing alongside the Pharaonic and Sumerian civilizations. At its zenith, it extended across modern-day India, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and even reached into Central Asia. Mirroring African traditions, the Dravidian society was sedentary, engaged in totemism, and practiced burial rites, preferring to bury their dead with grave goods rather than cremate them. This civilization revered matriarchal principles, honoring women similarly to other ancient African civilizations, and organized its society around a caste system based on occupational roles, rather than racial or discriminatory distinctions. The Dravidians developed a unique system of writing, characterized by pictographic scripts reminiscent of Egyptian hieroglyphs. Despite extensive study by scholars like Ascoparpola, this script remains undeciphered. The spirituality of the Dravidian people, who predated the Hindu civilization in India, offers a rich collection of religious beliefs and practices deeply rooted in the worship of a mother goddess and the god Shiva. These practices highlight a religious system akin to those found in African civilizations, characterized by a polymorphic monotheism, a single deity with dual male and female aspects, manifested through various gods and goddesses. Indus Valley artifacts, including numerous female statuettes and seals depicting Shiva, suggest a civilization that revered fertility and practiced advanced meditation techniques resembling yoga. These findings indicate that ascetic practices and meditation were already present before the rise of Hindu culture. Totemism played a significant role, with the bull or cow frequently venerated, echoing similar cults in ancient Egypt, such as the worship of the Apis bull and the goddess Hathor. This suggests a historical connection between the Dravidian and Nile Valley civilizations, further exemplified by the representation of deities with multiple arms or heads, a style shared with pharaonic Egypt. Burial rites within the Dravidian civilization pointed to beliefs in ancestor worship and the soul's immortality, concepts common in African spiritual traditions. The Dravidians envisioned a supreme androgynous deity, Agni, originating from water and manifesting as both sunlight and fire, reminiscent of the Egyptian god Amen and the Sumerian deity Anu, highlighting a widespread cultural and spiritual lineage from Africa through Asia. Worship was conducted privately in homes, where families maintained altars and sacred spaces, indicating a deeply personal and domestic aspect to their spirituality. The spiritual practices of the Dravidians, including yoga, meditation, and ritual bathing, laid the groundwork for the diverse spiritual traditions observed in India today, bridging the ancient Indus Valley Civilization with the spiritual landscape of modern India. The Dravidian civilization of the Indus Valley, flourishing before encountering the Aryans around 1900 to 1700 BCE, eventually declined due to repeated conflicts with these nomadic, patriarchal invaders from ancient Persia. Despite resistance, the Dravidians, known for their peaceful and matriarchal society, were gradually displaced, retreating to southern India and beyond, even migrating to the Nile Valley, as noted by ancient historians. The cultural clash between the Aryans and Dravidians led to significant societal changes in northern India, culminating in the Aryan domination by 800 BCE. This period saw the melding of Aryan and Dravidian cultures, with the Aryans adopting many Dravidian customs while imposing their patriarchal system and language, including Sanskrit. Hinduism emerged from this syncretism, initially characterized by Aryan polytheism and evolving to include monotheistic elements, such as the worship of Brahman, influenced by Dravidian spirituality. Buddhism also arose during this era, challenging the Aryan caste system and incorporating Dravidian practices like asceticism and meditation. The Buddha's earliest depictions suggest African influences, linking him to ancient Egyptian traditions. The Dravidian legacy persisted in southern India, where Dravidian kingdoms continued to honor their ancient customs and spirituality, including the worship of Shiva and the mother goddess. These traditions eventually integrated into Hinduism, transforming it into the diverse and syncretic religion known today, which incorporates a wide range of spiritual practices and deities originally worshipped by the Dravidians. Hinduism's evolution reflects the complex interplay of Aryan and Dravidian cultures, with the modern caste system embodying elements of racial and social discrimination that trace back to the Aryan invasion. Despite Hinduism's rich collection of beliefs, its roots in Dravidian spirituality highlight the enduring influence of the Indus Valley Civilization on the spiritual landscape of India. This historical narrative suggests that many of today's residents of northern India, including prominent political figures and even the Prime Minister, may trace their origins to migrants who settled in the region after the era of a magnificent civilization. This narrative positions the Tamils and the people of Karnataka as the true progenitors of the land. According to these insights, the fair-skinned newcomers introduced Sanskrit and laid the foundations of Hindu culture. This revelation challenges the long-held belief that Hindu culture originated from the subcontinent's first inhabitants, a concept deeply ingrained in the Hindu community's identity. For generations, this community has celebrated Hinduism as an indigenous product of Indian soil, inherently weaving Muslims and other groups into the narrative as outsiders. The Bharatiya Janata Party, led by the Prime Minister and aligned with Hindu nationalist ideologies, has actively sought to affirm this traditional view, even commissioning reports that overlook contradicting archaeological evidence. Obviously, this video poses a significant dilemma for those invested in a singular historical narrative. I hope this video sparks vigorous discussions and debates, particularly as it confronts established ideologies about India's ancient past. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I would like to say a special thank you to all of our subscribers, Nubian storytellers. Join our Discord and share your knowledge with like-minded people. Be proud of your African heritage. We have a great past and an even greater future.